Hello, everybody, and welcome to Teachings and Tangents. I'm so excited because this is a new thing that I am dipping my big toe into in its interviews. And for today, I'm so excited to have our first interviewee be my dear friend and mentor, Julie Reisler. And so I know I'm so excited. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how it flows. And we are going to dive into all things intuition, a few different programs, and really see what transpires from this conversation. And so, welcome, Julie. So happy you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. I love you. I love this conversation, and I'm excited with all of your beautiful community to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I do think that most probably know a little smidgen because I do refer to you during my teachings and tangents as well. But for those that don't know, just share a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do. I mean, really, you can even share your tricks to how you get your hair looking so awesome.
Oh, well, that would take 1 second. That's called air dry. I found a brush, I put some stuff in it, and yeah, I do very little, but thank you. Called going with the curl. Whatever you got, go with it.
Yeah, go with the flow. How you do one thing is how you do everything,
Yes,
right?
it's very easy, manageable. Yes. Um, I can just do like a quick, I won't do like the whole life story because we don't need that. But I will say, it's interesting. I heard this years and years ago. The message is in the mess. Like we all have these challenges that we go through in life. I actually think it's part of our, if you think about maybe you went to college or university or high school, whatever you went through, right? Programs. It's like we learn all these things, but I don't think what we learn to realize is that life is also like its own course. That's how I look at it. So it's
Mm.
learning, it's constant learning. It's how I look at my life. And I would say I was on a intense learning trajectory. For me, it showed up like people pleasing, avoiding feelings. I just wasn't taught how to handle anything other than happy. And I love my parents. They still are, my mom's still like that. So I ended up in a situation where I was really, really struggling with, for me, food and sugar addiction. I found 12 step for me, that was really helpful. I think what was helpful was actually more of the exploration of myself. I started doing for the first time questions, and a friend of mine led a group in the Artist's Way book by Julia Cameron, and this was like 20 plus years ago, and it just cracked everything open. It was like an excavation, and that then led to me going to a personal growth program that was extremely powerful. I had a coach through that. In the third, there's three main programs that you do, and in the third one, I was at a really tough point in my life, like, at the brink of ending a marriage. That was really, as somebody who people pleaser, I don't quit, I don't leave anything, like get
Mm.
an A. I'm sure others can relate here. This was like, wait, what? But I knew in my soul, I knew this was not a good energetic fit. I didn't have those words. And working with this coach, it changed the entire way I saw myself in my life. And that you and I talk about this, and for those that are into A Course in Miracles, we know one of the main definitions of it is a shift in perspective. It really felt like a miracle because I really got at a deep, deep level that it was okay. It was okay to have feelings. It's okay for this marriage to end. It's okay to change paths. It's okay to not be fine. It's okay. All of those things are okay. And that life could actually still be life-giving and flourishing. And I could still, you know, go on and explore and expand, even though that was ending. And it led to this like fork in the road. My marriage was ending. I did have a health crisis that I'm still healing, that is almost healed, um, which is something for me. The thyroid is all about speaking your truth energetically. So
Yeah.
lots of this. Went back to school to get my degree in coaching. I was like, whatever this is. I was a psych major. I'm like, I just love psychology. Didn't want to be a therapist, although therapists are great. It's just this work. And so fast forward now 11 years ago since I jumped. But I would say I jumped with the life preserver was my intuition, my higher
Mhm.
self. And she
Yeah.
said, "You've got to do this. I'm with you, and this is what we're meant to do." And I had very little roadmap. So here we are. And that's, all of the things that I feel like show up that I'm here to do are comes from that deep place of having certainly lived in the mess and daily looking at what am I making sure I'm feeling or not feeling and bringing it to surface. All of the tools that I try to teach, that I learn, I'm trying to use myself every day, every single
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
with grace. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, and as we know, stories can grow and evolve and change, and there's always a new chapter. And that's what's so exciting. And working with people to help them achieve new chapters is beautiful. So it sounds like through this 11-year journey so far, that intuition has been like this huge guiding force. Like, I would love to know, and it's different for everybody, but what's like your definition of intuition? How would you define it, right? And how does that shape your life?
Such a good question. Oh, Kathy, I love this one. And there's a scientific answer. There's a lot of answers to this. I'm going to share what it means to me and how I view it.
Okay.
So, of course, I always think, listen, take what you like, leave the rest. But truly, this is how it shows up for me. At a macro level, I believe we are all connected. We all come from the same divine creator, that the same light, love, and in every single being, there is a lifeline, an umbilical cord to this greater power, universe, source, energy, God, whatever you call it, of all loving light and creation. It lives within each of us. I think of it as like a pilot light, that or like sometimes I think of it as the most expensive battery that you didn't have to pay for, that's like in you, that's in me. And what I've experienced is the more that I quiet and tune in and ask and learn to listen and hear it, and frankly, that means slowing down, pausing, getting out of the lane of hustle and overextended. So I can hear it. It is literally a messenger. It is, some will call it the voice of the divine, right? The lifeline to your higher self. It's here to guide me, to guide you. We each have access. And to me, it is always guiding for the highest good for
Yeah.
you and all those in your orbit and the world. It's always like a win-win-win.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to listen to. It's not always easy. When I heard you need to end your marriage, it didn't come like that, but I knew that's not fun and easy, but it felt true. And it ended up being that was the right answer for me
Yeah.
and our family. And so it's a guidance system that
Yeah.
you can't find elsewhere. You don't have to pay for, but that's like 24/7.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting is so you said everyone has it in them. Everyone has this umbilical cord, right? But like, what would you say to somebody who's like, I'm not really intuitive, or you know what, I don't hear, or I can't trust that inner voice? Like, what would you say to somebody who is like, that doesn't feel true to me?
Yeah. I would say, first of all, I feel you. And you are not alone. We are so conditioned to be in the left brain, in the logical left brain. Actually, one of the best teachers on this, actually, from a scientific, for those of us that are like left brain, Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor has Whole Brain Living, that book. She also has the most watched TED Talk, The Stroke of Insight. She had a stroke and lost access to the left side of her brain,
Okay.
and literally was existing now all intuitive right side. I mean, there was no boundary between her and anything else. But in her book, Whole Brain Living, and then there's so many more resources like the Heart Math Institute that goes in the science of it. We all have these access points. It's the greater part of who we are now. Most of us are conditioned or not taught how to use it or value it. So you have to get, and for some people, and there's no problem with that, the orientation is to go to logic first, The Myers-Briggs, I was certified in that. That's one of the examples of that. You might be more logical thinking. It doesn't mean though you don't have intuition. So
Mm,
the other thing is some people don't see it. They may not hear it. They may not, it may not be a feeling. It might be a knowing, a gut feeling, and I would say to anybody, look in your past. When have you had some sort of gut feeling about something or sense without any logic and it ended up being right and it didn't make any sense to you?
yeah.
The best thing is to look in your past because that's a good place to look in your past actually is to get when intuition has worked and been there and you may not even realize it or valued it, and that's okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned, hearing that inner compass, that inner guidance that was like, okay, the relationship that you're in right now is no longer serving you. And, it wasn't like head to the lawyer. Like it didn't give you directions or like give you their phone number, right? It gave you that little nudge, right? But can you, like you said, look in your past, can you share with us another time where like you found yourself listening to your intuition and like it just made all the difference, like following that inner guidance?
Yeah, as you asked that, I got chills in my whole body. I feel like since these 11 years of starting this business, I have so many. Let me pull like one or two quick ones.
Yeah.
That one was a tough one. That was a wake up in the middle of the night, and I heard my inner voice say, "You are not okay." It,
Mm,
so that was it. For me today, I hear it, I see it, I feel it, all of it, and it's something. It's like a muscle. What you focus on expands. We all have
yeah.
access. That will show up how it shows up. So I'll give the example, two things. Starting this business made no logical sense. I was a single mom at the time. I was working in a corporate job in HR, bonus and, health insurance. Like they really, they liked me there. I thought it was fine. I mean, it was a really good job. I was doing good things.
Hmm.
So when I started getting this, like, it felt like a nudge and I kept hearing, you're meant to do more with the coaching. I kept hearing it. I kept feeling it. I would see it. I mean, it took me a little while to listen to it. However, people around me were supportive and were like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you leaving? Like, how are you doing it? So that following that, I mean, we wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be talking. I wouldn't be doing any of this.
Yeah.
The other time that stands out is right around the pandemic time, right in the beginning. I woke up, often I'll wake up and I heard this, my inner voice, intuition say, Start a coaching certification." Felt like out of the blue. I've been teaching coaching at Georgetown University for years. I mean, now over 10 years, but it didn't make sense. I had been thinking about it. I had no plan to do that, but I'd
Mm,
already had enough experiences where I was like, what?
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna and this is now almost 6 years later. And you've been part of it. It's amazing. Starting a podcast, that came from my intuition. I didn't have a plan to do that.
Yeah.
There's many others with health, with relation. I mean,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
husband today, like so many more, but those are some that have happened that have been really impactful.
Yeah, I love learning that the Intuitive Life Designer Coaching Program, ILDC, as we call it, came as like a wake up in the middle of the night, like a little nudge, a little push. I thought it was just this evolution, right? But it was like a tap from, your higher self, like saying, okay, this is your next step. And I wonder if that's sometimes what it might feel like, right? Is like, so you're in this relationship and it's like tap, tap, you have a different step to make, or you've been coaching and you teach at Georgetown, but like tap, tap, you have another step to make, right? So that's so cool. I wonder how like people can make that connection and nurture it. Like, do you have any tricks or tips on how people can nurture that connection to their own inner knowing?
Yeah, I love this question. I think one of the first things is focus and intention. We always
Mm,
start with intention because your intention, where your energy and intention goes, is where your awareness is going to go. Your energy is going to flow. So even just listening and saying, I want to be led by my intuition, like even just saying, you know what, I want to heighten my awareness. I want to play with my intuition. I want to be able to see, I want it to lead me. So it might sound silly, but first is really setting that being, committed. I want to practice and play and watch it and see what happens. And so that would be something I would say to start. Um, you know, playing with it in real life. Like, what is the phrase? We make plans and God laughs. Like, I really believe the next wave of how we do life and health and relationships and business and everything is when we this next step is learning how to trust, right? Trust this guidance that is not necessarily through AI, nothing wrong with AI, not necessarily through, these are the steps you must do to become healthier or successful, but I really feel there's a constant guidance that comes from within. And so play with it. In the mornings, ask, before you start your day, like just put your hand on your heart. Please guide me today. Make it clear. I started doing this and I started getting signs everywhere, everywhere. And then what you can do is start to track them. Get your little, I mean, your phone, nothing fancy, just get your notes out
Yeah.
and start noticing. I take pictures, I'll write things down like, oh my goodness, I've been thinking about that person she called and actually invited me to the exact thing I was thinking I wanted to go to, whatever it is. But we've
Hmm.
got to take that first step. We have free will. There's a lot of distraction in the world. And so it's really deciding I'm going to focus on this and give
Hmm.
it the time, attention, space, and grace to develop.
Yeah, it totally sounds like it's this invitation, right? You have to invite it in. You have to, well, I mean, I think it's like already there, right? But you have to be open to it and invite that, saying, this is what I would like, right? Because probably it's already happening. But when you make that effort, that conscious effort to say, I would like to make this connection, then you see it, then it's already there, right? And we're not creating it, it's there.
That's right. I think that's an important distinction, actually, that you said, Kathy. And that is, first of all, the energy around it. Like, I can get very type A plus around stuff. Like, this is not, I'm going to like have the best relationship with my intuition. I'm going to force it. This is, let me, invitation is the perfect word. Can you invite it in
Yeah.
with playfulness, with
Yeah.
curiosity, which we do a lot with coaching, right? Like
Yeah.
those characteristics. Can you invite it in with with this like sacred awe, with this child like perspective of I know it's there. And
Mhm.
I bet if you, and anyone listening, if you go into your past a little, you look at some of the decisions you've made that weren't logical. I know when I went to college, for example, it just didn't even make sense. It was not last on my list, but I thought of it last minute. We had a family friend that went there. I flew for the day and I just knew. I was like, I'm supposed to go here. This was not what I thought, but it was. So you might have made a decision to date someone who you ended up marrying, or to move, to this wherever you moved away from your home, and it ended up being a great opportunity or job
Yeah.
opened up. So you got to look a little bit. It can be helpful to do a little bit of research and just see where it's been already been there all along.
Yeah, it's so funny. So it's that knowing that you're
Yeah.
talking about. And this is what I love. I tell people, so I was coaching before you and I met.
Yep.
And then what I was looking for and what I would talk about with people is I would love to, like, I've always felt connected to my inner knowing, my inner compass, my intuition, right? But I was like, how do I navigate and bring this into my coaching? And so then, like, we met at a coaching call for our coaches and sharing the ILDC, the life designer coaching. And I was like, okay, so it's that knowing what I wanted, knowing what I needed, and then looking and waiting and seeing and looking for the little nudges, right? And I was like, and it's so funny because it's like now I'm like, my gosh, it's taking ILDC has just shaped not only my business, not only coaching, but even my interpersonal relationships, my personal relationship with myself, right? So ILDC, this certificate program, there's coaching is like on the rise. There's tons of coaches, not just life coaches, coaches for every aspect of everything, mentors, teachers, guides, right? but there's different people have options, right? But like tell me and us, tell us what makes ILDC unique. What makes it different from other programs? What sets it apart, right? What did your intuition guide you to create, Julie?
I know, right? I ask that every day because I'm like, what were, it just as it's growing and growing, I'm like, okay, this I can see now what this is. So thank you. And I will say it's evolved, right? It's
Yeah.
evolved a lot. Look, I think coaching is on the rise for a reason because it works when you have someone who's trained and knows how to truly coach somebody.
Mhm.
Um, and just like a therapist, you wouldn't go to a therapist that wasn't trained. Coaching with training makes a huge difference. It's also a transformative experience when you have, like the container we have, or you're doing inner work as well. But it
Yeah.
works because it comes out of this positive psychology model where you are really seeing and holding space for the highest the person that we are working with, whoever is in your coaching, is the expert. So there's a lot of beautiful, empowering kind of tenets to coaching. And it's also with accountability, with the way that it's set up, the structure, it's so powerful. As I said, it changed my life. I think
Mm.
this program, what makes it really special, um, what came through me right away was this sacred coach approach. So it takes the core competencies, which I was steeped in my master's degree, from Georgetown, but it really adds this spiritual slant as well.
Yeah.
The idea we're spiritual beings having a human experience. There's a framework, there's competencies, that is all there. There's a structure. I think having you and the mentor coaches, we have three, are just makes it incredibly powerful and supportive, and
Mm.
have different experiences you're sharing. And there's the practice. You're getting real-time practice in
Yeah.
it with each other, get coaching sessions, and then the pro bono, the practicum. I think the other piece that makes it really unique is, frankly, I've been trained at this point in many different modalities, including the Heart Math Institute, in mindfulness, positive neuroplasticity. Done mediumship training myself, and bringing all of that. So intuition and healing modalities that are often not integrated. And that is an important word. There's an integration piece. So that 4 months we meet live every week, you are
Mhm.
literally shifting who you are and getting to do the inner work and learn how to hold space so other people can do that powerful inner work to make lasting change. And that to me, the intuitive piece, the healing aspect with the framework, makes it very powerful.
Yeah. And that's what I hear you talking about and I witness, and what I really like about it is that not only are you being trained in receiving the competencies and you're becoming a skillful coach, right? But there's also this inner kind of work that takes place just naturally from learning techniques and from doing pro bono work and from in-class coaching, right? Um, I guess without naming names, right? What are some like shifts or breakthroughs that past participants have had that you found like, wow, this is the reason I've done this? This, serving and helping people and watching these people go from this to that. Like, can you share any like things like that?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, one that I hear often is this transform my relationship with myself and with my partner, my spouse. Like
Mm-hmm.
the ability to hold space, and my children, because you are becoming expert at listening, at asking questions, at really getting out of the way.
Yeah.
This up levels every relationship. So that is that's actually one of my favorites. I mean, yes, I hear a lot of times, like, I have a practice, I have a business, I'm clients now. That's fantastic. Um,
Mm.
and to me, connection, relationships, so, so important. I do have, and I interviewed her, so I'll use her as an example because it's coming out next week. Brooke, who from
Yeah.
Ireland, was talking
Yes.
about, she has started, it gave her permission to use her intuition. Couple things. One, now coaches individuals, but was doing a group coaching group coaching and had other coaches that were there part of this program. And she said, we were talking, she said, Julie, the coach that had been doing this work for 25 years said, I've never seen anyone coach like this before. You were so
Hmm.
spot on and powerful, and you just trusted your intuition. She said that is exactly that is the key. I actually believe is knowing how to use your intuition in a coaching session. It is, yes, a framework. Yes, there's a whole like list of competencies. Intuition, it is your secret. I don't want to say weapon. It's like your secret gadget. Your your everything. It's the diamond, the flashlight. So hearing that the person who'd been doing it for a long time, that was really cool. And she was saying, yeah, I use our sacred coach approach. Like I do this, but it's my intuition. I have
Yeah.
permission. She has a son who's she feels is very psychic. She was sharing this, and it's given her the ability how to connect with him as well.
Ooh, how cool.
So
Yeah.
cool. I know. I love that. That's
Yeah.
a couple examples.
So who is this program for? Who signs up for it? And like the big thing is what I always find fascinating is when we do have our participants enroll, we have a good amount of people who are like, I want to coach. And then other people who are like, I literally just followed my intuition and I'm here and I'm going to see what unfolds. And we have some people from the coaching little hand group that decide to do something else from doing the inner work. And then we have people who are like, I'm just here, and they become like, they start their own businesses, right? So like who goes to ILDC?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I would say there's the camp of those who are coaches
Yeah.
who felt like something was missing, usually around beyond. We don't do a whole lot with scripts. There is a framework, but want the intuitive healing arts piece and frankly, the practice and the
Hmm.
that part. We get a lot of, I would categorize few men, usually women, big-hearted, light worker types, right? Like somebody who wants to really make an impact and make a difference. And we had this last cohort. We had a couple people who were like, I don't even know why I'm here, but I just felt the urge. So this program is as much a personal transformative program as it is a certification. You do not have to use it and you don't have to be a coach full time. In fact, we talk a lot about hybrid. Maybe you take your skills in recruiting and HR and you use coaching in your business and the business you're in, or you start something on the side, or I mean, we've someone who's starting with us in this cohort is a dermatologist, and she's looking at how to use this in her role. There's like so many ways. The truth is, I think someday this kind of work is going to be taught in colleges. It's going to be taught in the principals will be taught in I hope in high school. Like these are skills that we should all be learning. So they're life-changing skills. How you want to use it, it's like sky's the limit, but we see it all. We see it all.
Hmm.
I think the people that come are often those that are like, I am the person at the airport. For some reason, people always come up to me. I feel like I'm wearing a sign that says, come talk to me or to feel comfortable with me or share their life story. Like I still get that. Right. So you kind of have that aspect to you. And you also, there's this desire to really like, I want to add some light on this planet now. I really
Mm.
do. There's a lot of darkness, and I want to be one of the contributors of light. That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
You have to know much more. You really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting because our next cohort, cohort 13, which not only do I love that number, right? So it feels really good. So it's coming up. It's starting at the end of September on the 24th. So for someone that is like feeling that tug, but they're not really sure, what would you say? But also before that, no, let's start there. I followed my intuition right there. What?
Right. I know. I saw you. I'm like, yeah, we're staying with that. So I would say this is we teach this also because part of the program is you get intuition school. So you're getting like, and it's lifetime, like a lot of tools how to access your intuition and be able to use it. One of the easiest things to do called the sway test or muscle testing or using yourself as a pendulum. Just notice as you're listening, like, are you leaning in as Kathy and I as we're talking? Are you leaning away? Are you feeling like this is pulling me in. My something is pulling me in. I would invite you to pay attention. Either way, maybe
Yeah.
you're doing nothing. Okay. Look at that too. Maybe it's a I don't know. I'm interested. I'm not sure. So we want to that's an example of following intuition. Just either way, notice what your body is extremely tuned in to what is happening at the mind level.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say there is no perfect time ever. So it's not about being ready. It's about being, willing. Am I willing to follow guidance?
Mm.
I've found everything. I have a quote written right down below, and it says, "The universe pays us back for taking risks on its behalf." So, what would it look like if you're feeling it's a yes? If you are, this feels right. What would it look like to say yes? Or to something that feels like a yes, what would it look like to say yes without knowing the whole plan, without knowing how you're going to fit it in, without knowing
Yeah.
how it's going to work? Like, what would that look like? That's something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And it's designed for adult learners. That's what I would tell you. It's we know people who've
Totally.
seen this every time. You can't make it. Everything is recorded. We work with you.
Yeah.
It's all about making sure that, this experience is life changing. And so we're going to make sure to do everything to help you to have a life changing experience, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah. One of the things that I know I really like and other people do in the program is we usually start our calls with some intuitive guidance, some intuitive knowledge, wisdom. And Julie, she developed her kind of affirmation oracle wisdom card deck. So many words. And we usually pull one, two, three, it all depends, cards that give us a little guidance. So would you pull us one now? Just so we
Yes.
get a little taste of what that feels like.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do. And any cards, this is
Yeah.
where we can start playing with intuition too. And I've done this long enough. I just trust fully. So I'll take a second because I want to connect in. We did this before, but I'm just going to connect in. We can all do this, connect with our
Yeah.
heart, just feel maybe just for a moment, the presence of our heartbeat and the presence of something absolutely beyond the physical, our human self, this connection to the all loving light that we are. And so I can feel that beautiful presence in me and you and everyone tuning in, everyone with us. And I'm going to ask for a card to be selected to light up that is in the highest good for all of us. This is so fun. It makes me giddy when I do this. It's so fun. Let's see what we got. Okay. It's a good one. This is one of my highlight. So it is freedom, which actually we could talk about.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes. As I look at the birds behind you, I think of my birds, freedom. All right, I'll read it. It's short. It's really short.
Yeah.
Freedom to live my life in the way that I want is a sacred gift. I'm fully free to be fully self-expressed in as the truest version of me. I allow myself to feel free and I allow others to be free.
Mm. Isn't that
Yeah.
cool? Because I would sum that up even like there's a sense of freedom that comes from starting something and then its completion, right? So starting a program like this and completing it, you get a sense of freedom. In the literal and metaphorical sense of the word.
Yeah, I love that. And when I think of coaching, what is coaching about? Guiding, being there. It's to create for the other person, helping them to create a sense of freedom within
Yeah.
themselves.
Yep.
And as you do that work, freedom means free to be self-expressed, I'm thinking of the 70s, free to be you and me, which I still love. Free to be whatever, to trust your intuition, to show
Yeah.
up exactly as you are, as you aren't. And I
Yeah.
think it's probably one of the most important values we all have that frankly, what drew me out of the nothing around corporate jobs, they're important and sometimes we need them. It was like a need for greater freedom. And I
Mm.
value that deeply.
Yeah, definitely. So as we
So fun.
Yeah, I know. As we kind of close our time here together, I want to end with just how do you bring either freedom or intuition in daily? Like, do you have a practice or give us one last tip?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Kathy, I got a lot of practices. Which one? Let me ask myself because you know, I'm a big fan of the moment to moment, like the literal, what I'm getting what I'm hearing is, Julie, what you're doing right now. So for me to really tune out the distraction, the noise, that's very easy to get sucked into TV, social media, I mean, everywhere, all the time, anger, frustration, politics, all of it.
Yeah.
And I live in the DC area, so like it's everywhere, it's all around me. So grounding in, right? Hand in my heart. This is something as a person who's done a lot with Heart Math Institute, like connecting to my heart wisdom.
Mm.
Feeling, I often think of myself as going into this like crystal cave in my heart and connect to the light and just really ask what's the most loving thing to do here. I think freedom and love are synonymous in a lot of ways. So,
Mm.
what is the most loving thing here for me to do? That is something I use before I take a bite of something, before I get in the car, before I make a call, before I showed up, before almost everything. And it's also connected to intuition because I do believe what is the most loving thing, it's always going to be, you know,
Divinely
intuition,
guided.
love, they're connected. So that's probably one I
Yeah.
use all the time.
That sounds like such a life-giving practice, and I'm sure that many people watching can take that little tip and run with it. Now, if anybody wants to know any more about intuition or the Intuitive Life Designer Coaching Program, I will put in the show notes the link so that they can schedule a call with you and your social medias so that they can follow and learn more. And of course, if you want to talk to me about it, I'd be more than happy to meet with people. Julie touched on that I do mentorship inside of the program, teaching and mentoring, so that I can share that information with you. And you can even meet with both of us, right? And so we're starting cohort 13 at the end of this month. And then we would be more than honored to have you join us. Okay.
Absolutely. If it's okay, I'll add one quick thing about that.
Oh, please.
I I really believe this, all of this and who shows up, and this is for everything we're doing, it's divine appointment. And so, if that's the divine appointment for anyone watching who feels like I want to be part of it, we keep it intimate. It's already a beautiful group. I have a few spots left because I really don't want it to be, we don't want to, I just love the intimacy, frankly, of how we have it. I think it's worked very well. And
Definitely.
so divine
Yeah.
appointment. And if not, that's cool too. Either way, would love
Yeah.
to have you. Obviously, if it's like you're leaning in and happy to talk to anybody, like,
Yeah.
and I would just say another thing you can do is use your hand on your heart and ask your heart,
Yeah.
give me an answer and maybe show me, give me a sign, if it's this or something else you're dealing with. We use this a lot, a lot, a lot in the program. Your heart has intelligence and wisdom. So,
Mm.
you know, that's a great tool to use with this, with everything.
Yeah. And I would say, like, no question is too small or too big, right? So if it's even you don't feel like doing a video face to face, email Julie or I with, like, okay, how many weeks is it? You said this, like, what? Yeah, if you want the nitty gritty or you want more specific, we're here to answer questions and help. But ultimately, I'm really excited that I had my first interview on Teachings and Tangents. So we'll see how this goes, and maybe there'll be more interviews in the future for our teachings and tangents. And I wish you all a wonderful day, evening, wherever you're watching from. And Julie, is there anything you want to add before we sign off?
I would just say, first of all, thank you. And thank you. This has been delicious. My invitation is to bring in radical trust with your intuition, play
Yeah,
with it, and
yeah.
see what happens. And then let us know because I guarantee you miracles are around the corner.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks again. Take care.